Here are 3 cool ways to lace Air Max 90s, including bar lacing, the standard lacing, and star lacing, which looks really cool. Timestamps for each are down below. Let's get into it.
Now, first things first, I definitely suggest putting a pair of socks underneath your sneaker tongue, as this will help create some resistance and the pattern will come out nice and evenly. Then what we want to do is go ahead and get the lace, and we want to thread it down into the 2 very bottom eyelets on your 90s, on each side, down into them from above. You just want to pull these through. Take your time and pause if you need to, or you can slow the video speed down if that makes it easier. Then you want to take a second and make sure there are no creases, and we'll have our first bar little pattern. Then put your 2 laces together and check if they're of equal length. Mine aren't, so I'm just going to adjust them a little bit. Perfect. Then take the lace on the right hand side, pop it out the way, grab a hold of this one, and we're going to start our pattern. What you want to do is put the lace end into the eyelet that is 3rd up from the bottom, if that makes sense. So skip that one, pop it into the next one up from underneath this time, leaving this little guy empty. Then we want to keep a hold of this lace, bring it over the sneaker tongue and down into the eyelet across from it. Just like this. Making sure that we're keeping this little one empty and this one empty. Go ahead and pop this lace out the way, move over to this one now, and we're going to bring it up from underneath into this empty eyelet here. So let's feed it through, just like that. And we're going to take it over the sneaker tongue and down into this empty eyelet on this side. Can be a little bit fiddly, so take your time, but it's really easy. Just go slowly and you'll get the hang of it. Brilliant. So we're going to take this lace, bring it up underneath this one just to keep it on this side. And we're going to be keeping hold of this one for a little while. We're going to go skip this hole and up into this eyelet from underneath this time, just like we did before, making sure to leave that next eyelet up empty. Then we're going to bring the lace across the sneaker tongue down into the eyelet that's across from it, leaving the one below it empty as well, just like that. Again, we're going to go back to this lace, bring it up into the empty eyelet on this side, over the sneaker tongue, and down into the empty eyelet on this side. Take a minute just to make sure all of the little bar patterns are nice and straight and there's no creases. Bring the lace underneath there to keep it on this side. And now we're going to bring it into the very top eyelet, making sure to skip that one again. If your Air Max 90s have more eyelets than mine do, just keep following the pattern all the way up and I'll show you how to do it on this one. So take your lace end and bring it into next eyelet up, making sure to skip that one. Bring it over the sneaker tongue, down into this eyelet here. Making sure there are no creases. It's looking good. Swap back to the other lace, bring it up into the empty eyelet on this side, over the sneaker tongue and down into the empty eyelet on this side. Just like that. Now you want to take a minute here just to make sure all those bars are looking nice, and then you can go ahead, lace your laces a little bit further up the lace than you usually would, just like I'm doing here. And then you can go ahead and slip that bow underneath the sneaker tongue and tucked out of sight for a really crisp finish. Repeat on your other sneaker and you'll have a pair of really cool looking bar laced Nike Air Max 90s. Before we get started, put a pair of socks down underneath the sneaker tongue, as this will create some resistance and make the pattern come out nice and evenly. And I also want to mention that this works best on sneakers with a minimum of 7 eyelets. If you have less than that, you're going to struggle. If you have more than that, no problem. But 7 is what you need as a minimum. Start by taking one of your lace ends and feeding it down into the second eyelet from the top on this side here. And now you just want to pull that through until you have about this much lace left and just tuck that out of the way for now. Then we're going to bring this lace across the sneaker tongue and into the second eyelet down from the top on the left hand side as well. So we'll just do that now. Pull it all the way through to create a little bar there. Now this bar is going to be the anchor for your lace here, and I'll show you how to do the next step now. So go ahead, keep a hold of this lace, skip the next eyelet down, and instead go to the eyelet below that. So that should be the fourth eyelet down from the top. Take the lace end and bring it up into it from underneath, just like this. Pull the lace all the way through. Next, we're going to bring this lace over the sneaker tongue and down into the eyelet across from it on this side. Pull it through until we have another little bar here. Next, keep a hold of this lace and we're going to bring it up and through the very bottom eyelet on this side, just like this, until all of this little loop is just tucked out of sight, just like that. Now we're going to form one of the arms of the star by bringing this lace over the sneaker tongue and down into this eyelet that already has a lace in it here. Now Air Max 90's eyelets can be a little bit tight, so I suggest just taking your time and trying to get the lace end through the eyelet here. After some wiggling, it is possible to get it through. It's fiddly, but just take your time. Don't be afraid to be a little bit rough with it, and eventually it will work. So you want to pull that lace through and make sure there's no creasing. Fortunately there is in mine, but it just happens. Take your time, pull it back. Keep feeding it through until it's nice and straight. And you can really see the star pattern starting to form now. Then I'm going to take this lace, run it underneath all these pattern bits here, just like that. And then we're going to feed it into the very bottom eyelet on this side now from underneath. Just like that. Then we're going to bring this lace across the sneaker tongue and down into this eyelet here that also has a lace inside it already. So we're going to do the same just as we did before. Push that lace end through the hole. It's a little bit fiddly, but just keep wiggling it until it works. After some wiggling, you'll get the lace end through. Pull it all the way through. And then we're going to feed this lace underneath the whole pattern again, just like that. And we're going to want to try and bring it up from underneath through this very bottom eyelet here. Now I find this very bottom eyelet can be quite stiff, so what I like to do first is take the lace end and push it down into the hole from above first, just like that, and then just wiggle it around like this to widen out the canvas of the hole and make this a little bit easier to do. Once you've done that, take it out and we're going to bring it up into this hole from underneath this time. Now once you've got that lace end up through from underneath, pull it tight like that, straighten out the lace a little bit, and then we're going to feed the lace end underneath this little bar here, just like that. And then we're going to take it over the top of this anchoring lace that I mentioned earlier. So just loop it over the top like that, and it'll form the top anchor for your little star to hang off of. Then you want to take this lace end, feed it underneath this part of the star here. Just go slowly, just like that. Make sure there's no creases. And you can see our little star pattern is starting to form really well. Then we want to feed this lace end down into the very bottom eyelet on this side here. Again, this is going to be quite fiddly, but just use the lace end to wiggle and widen the hole a little bit, just like that, before pulling it all the way through. Take your time, make sure there's no creases on your star. And just like that, look, our star pattern has formed. Now we're going to keep a hold of this lace and we're going to feed it underneath the entire pattern here. So just underneath everything, pull it through, and we're going to kind of tuck it underneath the side of the sneaker there. Then we're going to bring it up into the very top eyelet on this side from underneath, just like this. And we're going to finish off our pattern by nicely bringing it across the sneaker tongue and down into the empty top eyelet on the right hand side as well. Just like that. And look how good that's starting to look. Now, you might be wondering, what do we do with these lace ends and how do we finish off the look? Well, just simply knot them to stop the pattern coming loose, like this, and slip them down inside the sneaker. Then you can just slip your foot inside and the little knot shouldn't bother you too much while you're walking, in my experience. Repeat the pattern on your other sneaker and you'll have a pair of really cool star-laced Air Max 90s. Start by taking a balled up pair of socks and putting it underneath the sneaker tongue. This will make lacing them much easier as there'll be a bit of resistance there for you. Then go ahead and get your laces. And you want to thread the lace ends down into the two bottom eyelets from above, like I'm doing here. Now go slowly with this, take your time. You can put the video on half speed if you like, and just keep pausing as you go along if I'm going too quickly for you. Now you want to pull those lace ends through, so you have a little bar here, just like on the other shoe. Then you want to pull these lace ends taut, and make sure that they're of equal length, if that makes sense. So I need to adjust mine very slightly to make sure they're of equal length. Then we're going to start by taking the lace on our left and we're going to bring it across the sneaker tongue and up into the second eyelet from the bottom on the right side, just like this. Pull the lace through and make sure it's looking nice and straight and there's no creases. Pop that lace out the way, pick up the other lace end, bring it across the sneaker tongue and up into the eyelet up from the bottom on this side. Now you'll see we have our first little cross. Keep a hold of the lace on this side instead of swapping back. Bring it over the sneaker tongue and up into the next eyelet from underneath. Just like that. Then pop back to this lace, bring it over the sneaker tongue and up into the next eyelet from underneath as well. Then we want to keep a hold of this lace, bring it over the sneaker tongue and up into this eyelet from underneath. So back to this guy, bring it across and up into the next eyelet up. Can be a bit fiddly, but take your time. Then again, bring it across the sneaker tongue and up into this eyelet from underneath. Same with this one. And now we're going to do something a little bit different. As the laces line up with the tongue loop here, we're going to start threading them into this. We're going to start with our lace on this side, bring it through the lace loop, like that. And then we're going to take it down into the next eyelet from above this time instead of up from underneath. So down into that one. And then we just want to pop this lace out the way, go back to this one, and we're going to bring it through the tongue loop as well. It can be a little fiddly, but take your time, make sure your laces aren't creasing. And then down into this eyelet here from above, just the same, and pull it through. Now I like to leave the top two eyelets empty, and that's a kind of classic look for the 90s. What you can do, if you really want them done, you can just carry on the pattern up. But at this stage, I would go ahead and just bow the laces. and wear them as normal, or if you want a really crisp no lace look like you can see on this one, go ahead and bow your laces a little bit higher up the lace, like this, leaving an ample amount of room for them to just be tucked behind the tongue here and out of sight, and that gives you a really crisp no lace look and shouldn't bother the top of your feet. And there we have it. That's how to lace your Air Max 90s in a standard style. If you found the info in this video helpful, please hit the like button to help it reach more people, and enjoy your sneakers. Thanks.